These are the plaintiffs, William Goldberg and Kelly Elliott. William says they rented the defendant their vacation house, and when the rental was up, the defendant stole their 3.5-foot wooden carved bear statue. He never complained about a thing and is now holding their bear hostage. He also canceled the credit card charges, and they're here suing this strange man for the $1,000 they're owed. This is the defendant, William. He says he got bed bugs from the plaintiff's rental and is currently being treated by a doctor. He has no idea why these people feel he should pay $1,000 because he owes them nothing and thinks the judge is going to agree. He's accused of being a rotten renter. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,700 for pain and suffering and a bet.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Goldberg and Ms. Elliott, you rented your place out to William, we'll just call him, and according to you folks, Ms. Elliott, you knew him before this? You guys are friends?
Yes.
How is it that how long had you known each other?
20 years.
Oh, wow. And how is it that you know each other?
I was his hairstylist.
Oh, okay. All right. And had you actually been socially friends all that time as well?
Probably about 12 years at that time.
All right. So at some point it comes up that he is going to rent a cabin that you folks have in Tennessee. Where in Tennessee?
Near Mountain City, Tennessee.
Okay. And he is going to rent it. How did he even know about it? Was that something that you had advertised, or he just knew about it and asked you for it?
No, we never advertised it, and we never rented it to anyone. But he and Kelly were having a conversation and asked Kelly if he could stay while we were going to be gone from October 3rd till October 23rd of 2019.
Okay. And then how did you guys come up with the figure $1,000?
Well, it normally, if we were to rent this house out, it would rent for considerably more than that, about $1,600 a week. But we decided that since Bill was an acquaintance, that we would allow him to rent it for $1,000.
All right, and then he agrees. He pays you the $1,000, and he gets there on what day?
So he paid through Kelly's Square account, the $1,000. He arrived before we left, which we had agreed to. He arrived on September 28th of 2019, and then we departed on October 3rd as planned. And he then stayed by himself until, he could have stayed until October 23rd when we came back, but he decided to go back to Florida on the 20th of October. So he left a few days earlier.
All right. When do you first hear any display? I know that I've seen some emails back and forth between you guys trying to negotiate the price. At some point, it is decided because he actually pays through the app Square. So, and that's before he gets there. And then at some point, he expresses his displeasure. When is it, actually, let me ask you, Mr. William, when is it that you expressed your displeasure with the arrangement?
Well, it was prior to getting up there. As seen in the emails, I gave them the ultimatum because they asked for $1,000. I said I was looking at their place, their friends, and I offered them $250 a week to shoot the autumn fall up in the Appalachians. And they agreed to it verbally, but went and charged my card $1,000 that I did not know until I got back. I got there on the 1st of October. They left on the 3rd. And the deal was, with all of our communications, I would pay when they're not there. And
I want to see, hold on one second. I want to see where that is, in fact, your agreement with them, that you would pay, not where you say that was the agreement. I want to see where that was the agreement. So show me where.
There is no text or emails they responded to. They were
Okay,
careful
so
about
you
that.
kept,
They
well, I
verbally
mean, when you
accept-
say they were careful about that, when did you pay the 1,000?
I did not pay the 1,000. I gave.
I know you
Bill,
took it back and disputed the charge. We're going to talk about that, but when did you pay the 1,000?
before I arrived.
Exactly.
And I
So
did
you
not
didn't
know-
pay 250, you paid 1,000, right? And there's
I
nowhere
was
you
sup-
can point to where they say that if you change your mind midstream, you can just pay half. There is, it's
Well-
$1,000 from October 3rd to October 23rd. You send emails saying, get with the real world, I'll pay X. They don't agree to it, and then you pay exactly what they had been demanding. Because they said they didn't care. You could either take it or leave it. So you pay the 1,000 before getting up there. You're complaining because they were still there. But I see in the emails where you always knew they were still going to be there until October 3rd exactly.
They offered me to stay the whole month for the 1,000. When they came back, as they said in their
I don't
first
see that
email,
anywhere. I just see in all of the emails over and over, what I see is October 3rd to October 23rd. Where you were going to show me something. I want to see that. Which email did you want to show me?
Well, the top one. He
Okay,
sent a
well, but
message
that's the
and said,
one where they tell you you can be my guest from the
Right.
28th forward, right? Okay.
And
All right,
we'll
let me
give you
ask
a
you a question.
five-star
When you're there, yeah, we'll buy you $10 glasses of wine and we'll take you to
Right.
dinner and yada, yada. And all that sounded really good to you. Then what changed? Because, Mr. William, at some point during your stay, you send an email to them saying, this isn't worth the money I paid. When did you send that?
Well, I probably sent it right after the 2 days I was there. Miss Elliott had, and then drank
Let
a
me
little
see the email 2 days after you got there.
Okay. It's graphic. I have to be blunt.
Okay, hold on one second. I have that one. Hold on.
Kelly drank a little too much that night, got verbally totally abusive. I'm staying 2,000 miles away from my house. She's having a fight with her son and then takes it against both of us.
I have to be blunt. Your girlfriend Kelly yelling, shut up, out of nowhere, troubling during my stay, misleading of location. Oh, but look at that. The date of this is October 23rd. It's the day you're leaving. Misleading of location in nowhere land. The inside Goodwill furniture uncomfortable and unsleepable. Beautiful place for wild animals. $500, not 1,000, or we both get attorneys. So after your entire stay, not 2 days into your stay, you send them an email that says that. And who is Barry? P.S. Barry is mine. Savanti loves him. What is Barry?
That's the bear that I took for the $200. The carved bear that he claimed I took. I put it in my car.
Wait, that you took
Yes.
or that he claimed you took? Which is it?
Oh, no, I took it. I drove it all the way home.
So you stole a carved bear from their
As
home.
I said in my emails, it was a joke. I gave
A
it back.
joke?
Yes.
Oh, when did you give it back? When did it give it back to you, Mr. Goldberg? When you called the sheriff and the sheriff said that was theft and they were going to arrest him?
Yes, once I filed a report with the sheriff on November 1st, and I returned to Florida on November 8th, and Mr. William had his son meet me to return the bear on November 10th.
Yeah, after the sheriff called him, right? Is
Right,
that what
after
happened?
the sheriff
No
called.
sheriffs ever called me.
No sheriffs ever called you?
Never. Never.
So what, after stealing the bear, in an email where you say,
I took it.
I'm going to pay you $500, not 1,000, and by the way, Barry is mine. That is supposed to be a joke as opposed to a hostage situation?
Well, I thought it was both. Humorous
Oh,
and a
okay.
hostage.
All right, and then what did you do, Mr. William? According to you, why is it you don't want to pay the $1,000?
Because my deal was $250 a week. I could do an Airbnb up in that entire area for the same price, and it's not the point.
So if it
I
was
don't wanna
$250
stay
a
a
week,
month.
why did you pay 1,000? Why did you pay 1,000 then? Because
did
you
not.
authorized
I
the
gave Bill
1,000.
my credit card. I gave Bill my credit card. I had no idea what they charged till I got back.
How does that work?
And Kelly, and then
How does that work?
Bill
No,
didn't
don't go
charge
and. Tell me how that works. You handed over a credit card, you didn't sign anything?
no, I gave him my number on the phone for $250 a week.
Show me
And I
proof where
stayed
they
the
agreed to
weeks.
$250 a week. Do you have any proof that they agreed to $250 a week? Because when
Well,
I
I
see an
should've
email from
recorded
you
the
on the
calls.
last day of your stay where you say to him $1,000, $500, not 1,000, it sounds to me like you agreed to 1,000 because those are your words, you see? But now it gets even better. Hold on. Then what you do is you contact your credit card company and you tell them that this is a completely unauthorized charge and that you never authorized any of this, right?
Absolutely
Isn't that what you
true.
do?
Not only
Right,
is that
except for you did authorize that,
Wait a minute.
right?
Excuse me.
Just a second,
I hate
just a second. What you say is customer claims to have no knowledge of this charge. That's what you say, correct? In order to contest it.
Yes, I did not give it.
But
to
you
Miss
do have
Elliott.
knowledge of the charge. You do have knowledge of the charge, don't you? Because
Oh, I
when you
sure
send
do.
an email on your last day that it's crappy furniture and it's uncomfortable and I want to renegotiate and I'm taking your bear as hostage, it's kind of clear that you knew what the charge was about, right?
Your Honor, whatever you say, you seem to want to argue a valid point I've got. People investigated the charge. This is your thing.
I've seen that. That's because you lied
credit
and
card
said you didn't know anything
No,
about the
they-
charge. No, it's a total lie. That you don't know anything about the charge is a complete lie. Stealing the bear is illegal. And then let's discuss what it is that you're saying. According to you, there are bed bugs that made your time there miserable, correct?
Absolutely, and I sent you records.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Stolen carved bears and bed bugs. Yuck. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Your records are from December.
My records run for a year, Your Honor.
Oh, a
I sent
year?
Copies. A year of how many dermatologists I saw and how many primary.
Oh, well, then their place didn't give you bed bugs. It's even worse. Then you know that you have some kind of skin issue before you go there. According to you, they had bed bugs. I'm going to need you to prove that. Because the only evidence I see of bed bugs you hand in December. And you see, that's not timely. But more importantly, you know what you didn't do in that nasty email of October 23rd? You never mentioned bed bugs. Which one would think,
Your
if
Honor.
that's why you want to withhold payment, that that would be what you say in the darn email? But you don't. You don't say one word. Now you guys go out and you hire somebody for $100 to go check whether there are bed bugs. And I've seen the report from that exterminator, 0 bed bugs, correct?
Correct.
All right. And that's why you're suing for $1,100. Let's talk about your counterclaim. You have a counterclaim for $1,500 for pain and suffering for what?
For getting eaten alive by their bed bugs. But Your Honor,
Okay,
I
and again,
really
but let me ask you: do you
Can't
have any evidence that there were bed bugs in between October 3rd and October 23rd while you were there? Anything? A text from you to them? An email from you to them? Anywhere where you mentioned bed bugs during the time that you were there?
forgive me, Your Honor, and you usually do not know for a couple weeks. I've got documentation. I went to LabCorp. They found the poison. I went to 2 dermatologists. If you don't believe it, Your Honor, you're wasting my
Mr.
time.
William, listen to me. I do I'm wasting your time. I do bed bug cases all the time. It is inaccurate that you usually do. You find out the second you wake up. Now, let me ask you what the $200 bet is about. Tell me what the $200 bet is about. What are you suing for? Then?
Kelly owed me $100, double or nothing. She could climb in a boat. I sent pictures. She didn't get in. She owes me the $200, and they owe me the $1,000. But I've always said I don't want the $1,000. I travel around the world, Your Honor.
Wait, you mean the $1,500? that you're suing for pain and
Yes.
suffering. That's what you're referring to.
Yes,
right?
I told him, forget it.
Where'd
I
you
wouldn't
go
even
between the
charge him.
23rd? Where did you go between the 23rd of October and December? You said you'd travel around the world. Where'd you go?
Nowhere. I went to Mexico with my son in January. I just got back from the Mediterranean and Alaska, and I was booked to go to South America. But that's neither here nor there. Your Honor, please, a ruling and let me go on my way.
I don't think so.
care.
I think I'm going to, yeah, I really don't care either. I think that you are not only a thief, that you ended up ruining a 20-year, 12-year, whatever it was, friendship over
you talk to
posing.
me, that just
Turn him off.
corrects
Turn him off. Turn him off. I want him gone. Okay. So not only am I going to order him to pay the $1,000 that he owes you and got reversed by lying, I'm also going to order him to pay you the $100 for the exterminator who went there, inspected thoroughly, and found 0 bed bugs. Okay? I think you got to see his true colors. I don't think you want him in your home again. All right. Verdict
No,
for the
we do not, but
plaintiff.
thank
On
you,
his
Your Honor.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you can't collect on bets. The courts don't get involved in enforcing gambling. So on his bet, 0, and on the $1,500 for pain and suffering, it couldn't be more obvious that this happened after the fact, because nowhere does he mention it, and there's no evidence of it until December, and no bed bugs don't take a month and a half to come out. Ridiculous. Verdict for the plaintiffs.
Thank you.
Well, the plaintiffs collect everything plus $100 extra, so that's $1,100 in this case. The defendant, as you know, was evicted from the courtroom by the judge. It's a shame. I'd love to talk to him and hear his reaction. I'm sure he's steaming. In any event, let's talk to Mr. Goldberg and Ms. Elliott. How do you feel about the outcome of the case, folks? What's your decision? What's your opinion?
Well, I think certainly it's very fair. And I think the judge actually saw the defendant's true colors in today's presentation.
Yes.
She did and you did, saw the true colors. You won't have anything to do with him again in the future. I'm sure of that. Am I right?
No.
All right. Very interesting case, to say the least. And I'm sure the judges have some very interesting thoughts about this. Let's have another version of After the Verdict.
Marilyn, in this case, it took 17 days or thereabouts after the departure of the defendant from the house to say a single word about bed bugs. And ostensibly, that was the big problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're leaving and you say, "Hey, I'm not paying $1,000, or I'm paying half of what I said I'd pay and what I already paid, or else we go to lawyers," you would think that you would have every reason that you're doing that listed in that email.
Right.
And the only reason was Goodwill Furniture.
And when the bed bugs bite you, it's not a 3-week process
No, of course it's
before
not.
you
This
get.
guy just will say
you
whatever.
manifest something from the
No,
bite.
you know in the morning. Anybody who's ever been a victim of bed bugs knows you know in the morning once you've been bitten.
Well, and then the exterminator comes, and the exterminator finds 0 evidence of bed bugs after the fact. And you would think they would find them. You can see a bed bug, by the way. I guess a bed bug is something about the size of an apple seed.
Very tiny. Nobody knows where they come from, and the bed bugs aren't talking, but he had 0 evidence of it until December. This guy will literally say anything to nail his friends out of the money that they're entitled to.
Well, certainly claiming to the credit card company that
he has no
I don't know anything
knowledge.
about that is not a good look when you come to court later, right?
Right.
So Mary Lee wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, is it legal for a landlord to make you lower your heat when you're cold, with temps in the 40s and the apartment temperature at night is 60? Well, here's the thing. 60 is unreasonable, and you have a right to heat. There is something called a warranty of habitability that is implied, if it's not written down, it's implied in every lease. And that means you are entitled to a healthy, safe apartment. And part of that is you don't have to shiver when you're inside. So there's no magic number in terms of how warm you're entitled to have it, but you are entitled to have reasonable heat. 60 degrees is not reasonable. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case are inside the courtroom.